rugged shores and woodlands of the north, its history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fishery. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around, my friend, at all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan. And sometimes when the moon brings out the diamonds in the snow, and the stillness of the forest lies encased in Arctic cold, the wind might whisper through the trees, listen if you can, it tells you of their beauty in the state of Michigan.
Hi there, come on in. It is Thursday night time for the latest outdoor news in Michigan. My guide's report sources tell me that the fishing success has been like the weather. Very, very cool on many lakes. I'll have some news on the change by the DNR to allow supplemental feeding for deer in the northern UP. And Fred will talk about Lost and Found in his Sportsman in the Law segment. We've got a lot more, so stay tuned. I'm Zachary Trost with the February 19th edition of the Practical Sportsman. Wolves are a topic of a guest commentary by Don Ashbrook, a hunting guide and business owner in Bruce Crossing. Bruce Crossing doesn't ring a bell? It's right here in Ontonagon County in the Upper Peninsula. Population 7,818, a town that had a human population of 16,436 in 1980. The human population isn't the only one that has been changing. Don Ashbrook laments the fact that the deer herd continues to decline as the wolf population grows. He cites the drop in entries in UP buck contests and the increase in the number of hunters who saw wolves or wolf tracks. He says a study called Costs of Recovering a Wolf Population in Minnesota by David L. Meck notes that where wolves have an ample food supply, the packs have 5.5 to 6 members in them and produce 5 to 6 pups per year. This enables the population to grow about 40% each year. His article is skeptical about the future of deer when wolves are increasing so rapidly in Michigan and concludes by saying that many area residents believe we have only seen the tip of the iceberg regarding wolves. Correspondent Lane Walker writes about the smaller cousin of the wolf, the coyote, which is also on the rise in Michigan. The main diet of coyotes is mice and other small mammals, according to DNR biologist Tim Reese. He says that coyotes are lousy at hunting birds, but he adds, I don't mean that a coyote will never sneak up and kill a bird, because they will. Last spring I was hunting turkey and saw a male coyote sneak up on a young turkey and actually attack and kill the bird. And what about their effect on deer? Well, he says coyotes aren't necessarily impacting the adult deer population, but they will take a sick or young animal. Years ago, coyotes weren't seen very often in the Lower Peninsula, but coyotes have been able to adapt and survive in virtually any type of habitat. That's why nowadays you can find coyotes in all 83 Michigan counties. And where, pray tell, do some of the cougars come from that have been sighted recently in the Midwest? Law enforcement officials had been investigating Tracy Richards from Petersburg, Illinois, and found that he illegally bought a cougar for a pet in violation of the Illinois Dangerous Animal Act. When he transported the cougar across state lines, he violated the Federal Lacey Act and was fined $525 in federal court and put on probation for a year. Where's that cougar now? Probably somewhere in or around a wildlife area in Mason County, Illinois, where Richards released it. This tidbit comes from way beyond Michigan, from Malaysia to be exact. The council of a northern city that had a problem with rats put a bounty of 26 cents on each dead rat brought in during a 3-month period. Of the 1,922 brought in, Ismail Hamza submitted 1,175 rat carcasses, for which he earned 26 cents a rat plus $395 for bringing in the most, $790 in all. The amazing thing is that Ismail said he hunted the rats and shot them with pebbles from a slingshot, made from a block of wood, and rubber from the wheel tube from his son's bicycle. Whammo. And speaking of whammo, that's what the deer have been going through in northern Michigan, especially in the UP.
Last week, Thurman Kearns of Dearborn gave us an old bolt-action shotgun for the museum that he said he found about 30 years ago propped up against a tree on private land near Anchorville. The question of law I posed was, do you acquire ownership of something just because you find it? Is finders keepers the rule of the jungle? Well, the short answer is, when you own something, you always own it until you either sell it or give it away or throw it away. Now, if you don't intentionally give up ownership of something by transferring it to somebody else or by abandoning it, then it's always yours, even if you lose it. Now, we have this gun here. There are 5 options I presented as to how this gun got against that tree. First of all, the question was, did somebody leave it there intending to come back and get it later? Didn't seem so. It was on private land, and Thurman said the gun had been there a while because it was getting rusty. Now, did somebody misplace it and forget where they put it? Well, it's hard to imagine misplacing a gun and shells and forgetting where they were. And did somebody lose the gun and have no idea where they lost it? Well, again, this gun wasn't lying in the weeds. It had been placed in a way where it wasn't obvious to a casual passerby, but it didn't look dropped or lost. Well, maybe the gun was stolen and stashed. Well, it didn't look like it, but I suppose it could have been. Or was the gun abandoned? Now, that's what Thurman thought. Somebody was hunting out of season and almost got caught, and instead of risking being linked to illegal hunting, he decided to abandon the gun, play like he was just taking a walk in the woods so he could get away. Now, in any of those first 4 scenarios, the true owner, if he could prove he was the true owner, could reclaim the gun from Thurman even 30 years later because he didn't intend to give up ownership and Thurman didn't do anything to try to locate the true owner. But the 5th option, that somebody abandon it, that's the only situation where finders keepers will stick, and that's what Thurman thinks happened. Now, there is a law that spells out what you're supposed to do if you find lost property like this. That law has problems of its own, which we'll talk about next week.
In this week's Fish and Game Hall of Fame, we're featuring a northern Michigan county that almost had a name that would have been my linguistic nightmare. In 1840, the county was named after an Ottawa Indian chief whose name was, get this, Tonadegana. This county is right here on the western tip of the Lower Peninsula. Historical artifacts excavated in this area indicate that Indians lived here as long as 4,000 years ago. After a few years as Tonadegana County, the name was changed to something much easier to pronounce, Emmet County. Not only was this location excellent for fishermen, fur trappers, and traders, but it was also a strategic military position, and much blood was shed between French, British, Indians, and the colonists who would form the United States of America. Robert Emmet was an Irish patriot who was also a traitor to the English, and he was hung by the British when he was only 23 years old. That's who Emmet County was named after, an English traitor. The area remained mostly wilderness until 1875 and was inhabited by Indian villages that had the right to occupy the land under a treaty with the U.S. government. The main highways are M119 that follows the scenic Lake Michigan shoreline through Petoskey and Harbor Springs, and US 131, which joins US 31 and cuts up the eastern border of the county to the Mackinac Bridge. The largest town in the county is also the county seat, Petoskey, sitting on Little Traverse Bay where the highest concentration of Michigan state stone can be found. The Petoskey stone is Michigan state stone, but it's not actually a stone, it's a fossil. When it was named the state stone in 1965, it was the first time a state had picked a fossil as its official stone. Emmet County is not only a very scenic county that's rich in history, but it's a county that has its own niche in our Fish and Game Hall of Fame. The county we'll be featuring on the next Fish and Game Hall of Fame will be Midland County.
Richard Steckmeyer from Monroe, way down in the southeast corner of the state, was hunting opening day up in Isabella County.
Right, on 20 acres that we have up there. We were in our blind, my two boys and I, and later in the evening there at 4:45, I happened to be looking out the back window of the blind, and I had my two boys looking out the front window, and I said, "Hey, there's a deer back here. There's a buck." And my oldest son, he turned around on his seat and banged his foot into the side of the blind and made a big bang, and the buck took off, and I opened the window and shoved my rifle out and dropped him.
No kidding. Now how old are your sons?
Well, one's 18 and one's 23.
And you got three of you in a blind that is how large?
That's about 6 foot by 6 foot.
A cozy little group.
Oh, yeah.
Were they on detention or anything like this, or being punished? Or
No.
usually all three of you hunt from the same blind?
Well, this year we did. And the interesting thing is I know Warren fired and dropped this deer, and they started shooting out the front, and they each got a doe.
At the same transaction here?
Within less than 30 seconds, we had 3 deer down.
Holy cow. What? Were the deer circling you or what?
No, they were shooting out the front window, and I was shooting out the back window.
Wow. Yeah, you did that at 4:45 p.m.
Yep.
And you got out of the woods before dark, because it sounds to me like those deer are after you guys. That's something else. Well, what a great story, Richard Steckmeyer from Monroe up in Isabella County. Amanda Van Nook from Roscommon got a lake trout really at this time of year, 1 year ago. Almost the same day, Higgins Lake, Roscommon County, 36 inches, 19 pounds. Man, that's a big lake trout. So you like ice fishing?
Yes.
Why?
It's fun.
Would you like it better than fishing in the summer?
Yeah. It's different.
Oh, yeah, it's different.
It's like standing on water, except for you're on ice.
That's a good explanation. Actually, we could say it really is standing on water.
Yeah.
It's frozen. Okay. But what is it other than going out? You could go out and just stand on the water and have all that fun.
It's just the thrill to have a flag go up, even if it's nothing.
Oh, so you were tip-up fishing.
Yep.
Yeah, the old flag goes up and then you run like crazy.
Yeah. You try to beat your little brothers there.
Oh, you have the little brother deal.
Yeah, 2.
Oh. But you got to this flag first. This has got to be, very few people catch lake trout this big out of Higgins Lake.
Yeah, it was quite an ordeal.
Take a long time?
45 minutes.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah, my fingers were getting sore.
Huh. But what made it all really exciting was that you were standing on frozen water.
Yeah.
That is cool. Well, Amanda Van Nook, that sounds like fun, and you're having a great time out there, and that's what counts. There you go.
One thing about the outdoors, there's no messing with Mother Nature. Might as well not complain about what she dishes out. Just take advantage of the conditions, whatever they may be. That might mean staying inside and getting your gear ready for spring. Not really a bad idea. Fred and I will look forward to seeing you right back here next week.